Everyone, today we are going to talk about software development models. The software models are the various processes that are being selected for the development of the project, depending on the project's aims and goals. There are many development lifecycle models that have been developed in order to achieve different required objectives. We are going to talk about four models like waterfall model, incremental model, spiral model, and agile model. And waterfall model was the first process model to be introduced. It is also referred to as a linear sequential lifecycle model. It's simple to understand and use. In a waterfall model, each phase must be complete fully before next phase. So you have to gather all requirements before you go into system design cycle. And this type of software development model is basically used for the projects which is small and there are no uncertain requirements. At the end of each phase, a review takes place to determine if the project is on the right path and whether or not to continue or discard the project. In this model, software testing starts only after development is completed. In waterfall model, phases do not overlap. So requirement gathering is requirement gathering, and there is no system design included. And the advantage of waterfall model, the first is the model is simple and easy to understand and use. And then it is easy to manage due to the rigidity of the model. Each phase has specific deliverables and a review process. In this model, phases are processes and completed one at a time. Phases do not overlap, as I just mentioned. Waterfall model works well for small projects where requirements are very well understood. As for the disadvantages, once an application is in the testing stage, it is very difficult to go back and change something that were not well thought out in the concept stage. So if you find out the system design is not quite well, but you cannot go back to gathering requirements again. And no working software is produced until late during the life cycle. And the other disadvantage is high amount of risk and uncertainty. And it's not a good model for complex and object-oriented projects. It is also poor model for long and ongoing projects, and it is not suitable for the projects where requirements are at a moderate to high risk of changing. So, when to use the waterfall models? First, this model is used only when the requirements are very well known, clear, and fixed, and product definition is stable, and technology is understood. And then there are no ambiguous requirements. Ample resources with required expertise are available freely, and the project is short.
I will talk about what is incremental model, advantages, disadvantages, and when to use it. In incremental model, the whole requirement is divided into various builds. Multiple development cycles take place here, making the life cycle a multi-waterfall cycle. Cycles are divided into smaller, more easily managed modules. Incremental model is a type of software development model like V model, Agile model, and so on. In this model, each module passes through the requirement, design, development, testing, and implementation phases. A working version of software is produced during the first module, so you have working software early during the software lifecycle. Each subsequent release of the module adds function to the previous model. The process continues until the complete system is achieved. Take to finish a pitch as an example. In the diagram, when we work incrementally, we are adding pieces by piece, but expect that each piece is fully finished. Thus, keep on adding the pieces until it is complete. As in the image, a person has thought of the application when he started building it, and in the first iteration, the first module of the application or product is totally ready and can be demoed to the customers. Likewise, in the second iteration, the other model is ready and integrated with the first module. Similarly, in the third iteration, the whole product is ready and integrated. Hence, the product got ready step by step. The advantages of incremental model generates working software quickly and early during the software lifecycle. This model is more flexible, less costly to change scope and requirements. It is easier to test and debug during a smaller iteration. In this model, customer can respond to each build, lowers initial delivery cost. Easier to manage risk because risky pieces are identified and handled during its iteration. The disadvantages of incremental model needs good planning and design, needs a clear and complete definition of the whole system before it can be broken down and built incrementally. Total cost is higher than waterfall. When to use the incremental model? This model can be used when the requirements of the complete system are clearly defined and understood. Major requirements must be defined. However, some details can evolve with time. There is a need to get a product to the market early. A new technology is being used. Resources with needed skill set are not available. There are some high-risk features and goals.
Okay, I'm going to introduce spiral model. Spiral model is similar to the incremental model, with more emphasis placed on risk analysis. The spiral model has four phases: planning, risk analysis, engineering, and evaluation. A software project repeatedly passes these phases in iterations. The baseline spiral, starting in the planning phase, requirements are gathered and risk is assessed. Each subsequent spiral builds on the baseline spiral. It is one of the software development model like waterfall, agile, or V model. Okay, so planning phase requirements are gathered in the planning phase. And in the risk analysis, if a process is undertaken to identify risk and alternative solutions, a prototype is produced at the end of the risk analysis. If any risk is found during the risk analysis, and then alternative solutions are suggested and implemented. Then the engineering phase, it including coding and testing at the end of the phase. Hence, in this phase, the development and testing is done. And last is the evaluation phase. This phase allows the customer to evaluate the output of the project to date before the project continues to the next spiral. There is some advantage of the spiral model. The first one is it is high amount of risk analysis, hence the avoidance risk is enhanced. The second one is it is good for large and mission control projects. The third one is it is strong approval and document control. The fourth one is additional functionality can be added at a later date. The last one is software is produced earlier in software development cycle. There are also some disadvantages about spiral model. The first one is it can be a costly model to use. The second one is risk analysis requires highly specific expertise. The third one is project success is highly dependent on the risk analysis, and it doesn't work well for smaller projects. There are some cases it is good to use Sparrow model, and when cost and risk evaluation is important, and for medium to large risk projects to long-term projects, users are unsure of their needs, requirements are complex, need product line, and specific change are expected. In these cases, it is good to use Sparrow model.
What is Agile model? So Agile model is also a type of incremental model. Software is developed in incremental rapid cycles. This results in small incremental releases, with each release building on previous functionality. Each release is thoroughly tested to ensure software quality is maintained. So it is used for time critical applications. XP is currently one of the most well-known agile development lifecycle model. So this is a diagram of agile model, and you can see like the advantages of agile model is customer satisfaction by rapid, continuous delivery of useful software, and also people and interactions are emphasized rather than process and tools. Customers, developers, and testers constantly interact with each other. And another advantage is working software is delivered frequently, weeks rather than months. And also, like face-to-face conversation is the best form of communication. And also, close daily cooperation between business people and the developers. In addition, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design is another advantage of agile model. And also like regular adaptations to changing circumstances and even late changes in requirements are welcomed. And the disadvantages of the agile model is, like for example, in case of some software deliverables, especially the large ones, it is difficult to assess the effort required at the beginning of the software development life cycle. And another one is like there is lack of emphasis on necessary designing and documentations. In addition, like the project can easily get taken off track if the customer requirements is not clear what final outcome that they want. The last disadvantage of the agile model is only senior programmers are capable of taking the kind of decisions required during the development process. Thus, it has no place for newbie programmers unless combined with experienced resources. Now, there is a question when to use agile model. When new changes are needed to be implemented, the freedom Agile gives to change is very important. New changes can be implemented at very little cost because of the frequency of new increments that are produced. Second, to implement a new feature, the developers need to lose only the work of a few days or even only hours to roll back and implement it. Third, unlike the waterfall model in agile model, very limited planning is required to get started with the project because agile assumes that the end user's needs are ever changing in a dynamic business and IT world. Changes can be discussed and the features can be newly affected and removed based on feedback. This effectively gives the customer the finished system they want or need. The last reason that both system developers and the stakeholders alike find they also get more freedom of time and options than if the software are developed in a more rigid sequential way. So having options giving them the ability to leave important decisions until more or better data or even entire hosting programs are available, meaning that the project can continue to move forward without fear of reaching a sudden standstill.